Hello everyone, and welcome to Esakia Peer Group 44's presentation on screen addiction by Andy Liu and Huan Tran.
In the modern world today, technology has become more used than ever before, and that increased use of technology has led to a phenomenon called screen addiction. According to an article by Anchor Tides Recovery, screen addiction is mainly described as an addiction to social media, certain apps, video games, or mobile device dependence, and not necessarily to the screen itself. Screen addiction is mainly seen in younger people such as children or university students. The stages of screen addiction can be described like any other addiction. According to Alvernia University, an addiction has 5 stages: first use, regular use, risky use, dependence, and substance use disorder. An example could be when a child receives their first phone. The first use is when the child is just trying out their phone, calling their parents and friends, and slowly learning how to use it. The next stage is regular use, where the child is now using the phone every day to talk to their friends and starts to learn about games and social media. After that is risky use, where the child is now spending hours and hours playing mobile games or scrolling through social media. Those hours and hours of usage over time lead to dependence, where the child now is always alert when they get a new notification, since that means that their friend replied or they have new lives in a game. Lastly, the child has become so dependent on their phone to do tasks for them that they have a substance use disorder, since they have forgotten how to do basic tasks like remembering their parents' phone numbers and finding directions to places without their devices.
Screen addiction can be described through two perspectives, the human perspective as well as the technology perspective. From the human perspective, one way to describe screen addiction is through the perspective of a college student or young adult. Just from walking around Newman Library or other populated areas, anyone can see that there are college students that are on their devices, whether that be their phones, tablets, laptops, or other devices. Even if a college student or young adult is not on their device, there's a high chance that they will pick up their phone as soon as they hear a notification sound or vibration. Young adults are quick to check notifications because they're always curious about who might be replying to them, or if there's any new activity on their social media profiles. There are many college students as well that procrastinate for hours upon hours. What begins as a short break from their studies becomes hours and hours of just staring at their phone or laptop, scrolling through social media, or playing video games with their friends. Another human perspective that screen addiction can be viewed from is from the perspective of a parent. The parents of the current generation of children and young adults grew up in the late 1900s to the early 2000s. The parents did not grow up with the technology that the current generation has. The current generation has had access to advanced electronic devices since they were young, which makes screen addiction start earlier and earlier since more and more technology is available to younger age groups. Parents of the current generation have vocalized their concerns about this early use of technology for children as well, believing that their children are always sitting down on their computers and phones and not paying attention to their surroundings.
As for the technology perspective, one of the best examples of tracking screen addiction is the screen time feature that Apple has. The purpose of the feature is to track how many hours you are on your Apple devices every day and then store that information to give to the user in a weekly report. The weekly report has information such as how many hours you spent on each application, your weekly average hours, and how your weekly average hours compared to the last week's average hours. According to an article from TechJury, young adults are spending almost 6 hours on their screens every day, which is close to how much they should be sleeping. Sleep is very important for every human, being so screen addiction is a serious issue if people are sacrificing their sleep to spend more time on their devices. Another example of screen addiction from a technology perspective is apps that track the time that you're using those apps. A good example of an app that has this feature is TikTok. TikTok is an app where users can watch short videos that others upload and endlessly scroll, so there's always a video to watch. In the background, the app keeps track of how much time a user has been using the app and will give warning videos to the user after they have been scrolling on the app for an hour, telling the user to take a break or put down their phones. However, these warning videos are given to the user just like any other video is, so there is a little incentive for the user to actually listen to these warning videos, since they can scroll past them just like they can with any other video. There were rumors of a similar video for 3 hours as well, which is concerning that some users are on the app endlessly scrolling for so long. Here are some statistics and facts. 60% of U.S. college students consider themselves to have a smartphone addiction. 71% of U.S. college students sleep with or next to their smartphones. 44% of 18 to 24-year-olds have fallen asleep with their phone in their hand, which shows that many young adults use their phones to the point of exhaustion. 66% of the population shows signs of nomophobia, which is a fear of being detached from their mobile devices. There was also a 39% increase in the number of hours people spend on their smartphones in 2020. Here are some more statistics and facts. 77% of American adults go online every day. 43% go online several times a day. 26% are online almost constantly. Rates of internet use are about the same for both genders. 27% of women and 25% of men reporting being near constant internet users. Education increases the risk of internet and screen addiction as well. 34% of college grads reporting being online almost constantly compared to only 20% of those with a high school education or less.
The Recovery Villages studies have given us an idea of the prevalence of other mental health disorders that can occur with internet addictions. Some of the ones that we found were attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD, hypomania, generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, borderline personality disorder, and binge eating disorder. The Recovery Village also found that people develop virtual relationships through chat rooms, social media, and blogging. And some might even develop relationships with avatars or characters in video games. The problematic thing with this is that substituting these virtual relationships for real ones causes people to spend more and more time online and withdraw from real life relationships. A study done by the National Institute of Health in 2018 also found that children who spent more than 2 hours a day on screen activities scored lower on thinking and language tests, and that children who spent more than 7 hours in front of a screen had thinning in the frontal cortex of their brain, which is the part of the brain associated with critical thinking and reasoning.
Here are some prevention methods for screen addiction. An article from Today Parent shows several fantastic methods on how to deal with screen addiction. The first method that the article discusses is to turn off all notifications except those from people, since notifications are designed to keep people checking their phones. The next method they discuss is to go grayscale, since the colors are designed to trigger people's brain's reward system and keep them on their phones. The article also tells users to limit what's on their home screen to essentials and to try to find apps, since the harder it is for the user to open unneeded apps like social media and games. To further stop the use of social media as well, the article recommends that people uninstall social media from their mobile devices, since users are less likely to use these applications if it is only through their desktop. Lastly, the article recommends users to charge their devices outside their bedrooms so they are out of reach at night when people should be asleep, and to use features like night shifts that decrease the blue light emitted by your screen so that there is less stimulation from your devices.
So why is TikTok addictive? TikTok is an app that allows users to create and watch 1-minute long videos and currently has over 1 billion active users across the globe. One of the main causes of addiction is the For You page. The For You page uses a unique algorithm that utilizes machine learning and AI to track the types of videos that a user usually interacts with on the app. For example, if a user likes and comments on videos of a certain genre, the algorithm will keep track and show users more videos of that genre. It also focuses on showing new content, so it is entirely possible to spend hours on TikTok since they will always be seeing new content that is related to the genres that they already like. TikTok also has trends that users create using the music clips in the app, and these trends could be like dance challenges or videos that utilize filters that the app provides to the users. Once one trend becomes popular, the algorithm will spread that trend, which makes it even more popular and makes more users want to make a video that aligns with the current trends.
The first feature that could be implemented to help prevent screen addiction on TikTok is a permanent pop-up after a certain time has been reached on the app. For example, after each hour of usage, a permanent pop-up saying how many hours the user has been on the app. The user would have to answer the password to their TikTok account in order to disable this pop-up. It would not be able to be autofilled. This feature would deter users from prolonged usage of the app because it would obstruct the user's view of the video they are watching. The time being shown to the user would also give some users a hint that they should end their breaks and return to their work.
Another feature that helps prevent screen addiction on TikTok is to stop the endless scrolling after a certain amount of time. For example, after an hour has passed, the endless scrolling would be disabled and the user would no longer be able to swipe up. Additionally, the way to enable the endless scrolling again could be a passcode or puzzle that the user has to solve, which would then enable the scrolling after solving it. This feature is not currently implemented because the app wants users to endlessly scroll so they keep watching more videos. However, if it was implemented, it would deter users from using the app as much, since they would only have a 1-hour time limit before they need to do anything to keep them from scrolling endlessly, which users would get tired of not being able to do and then exit the app. A third feature that could be implemented is a consistent bar on the top of the screen that shows advertisements and pop-up advertisements. Plenty of other applications already have this feature in order to generate ad revenue for their applications. These advertisements could be less frequent in the beginning, but over time become more and more frequent. For example, for the first 30 minutes, it would only show one every 15 TikToks. But then after an hour, it would show one every 5 TikToks. The more and more these advertisements appear, the more users would get annoyed with the application, and then eventually just exit the application.